Hello, this is Ava from Soul GPS. Welcome to my channel. Today in this episode, what I wanted to give you are 5 ways in which you can practice self-love, self-nurturing after a difficult, painful breakup. Perhaps you were discarded by the narcissist, or perhaps you were the one to recognize that it was time for you to move on. Regardless of the circumstances, this is a very difficult, painful time when one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is to learn to honor yourself more deeply and remain connected to yourself. So you do not abandon yourself. You don't let any thoughts, any negative ideas of yourself to sink in and become belief systems, because that can be very toxic. That is not helpful to you, and in most cases it is not even true, because during the time when people do break up, when again, regardless of the circumstances, what tends to happen is things can get really ugly and words can be said that are not necessarily meant, or that are purely the reflection of the person who's been on the more negative, damaging side of the equation. So I will leave this up to you to decide and discern. And now let's go ahead and jump into the first step. The first thing you can do for yourself is offer yourself space. That is so extremely important, and it's a really difficult thing to do. I 100% understand, but it is really important to take some time and let yourself cool off, whether it is going full no contact with your ex, which is the ideal scenario, or where you go low contact for whatever reason, whether there's still things that need to be exchanged, shared. Perhaps you have some property in common, perhaps you have children, any of those circumstances. But space is really, really important so that you're able to pull back and really spend time with yourself, reach out and nurture yourself. That's kind of like the first self-loving step you can give to yourself, because it's in this space where the healing can take place. This is in this space where you can get connected to your emotions and what's really pouring through you. So many times we try to resist that and not feel that, but it is really important to just allow yourself to be 100% you. If you feel like crying, if you feel like screaming, if you feel like expressing your emotion in any other way, this is the place to do this. What I would also recommend you do, and start that as soon as possible, even if you may not feel yet fully connected with what I'm about to say, is self-forgiveness, because there will be all of these thoughts, especially if you have tendency to be more on the codependent side and take too much responsibility on your shoulders. You may feel like you were the failure, like it was all your fault. Remember that even in more amicable scenarios, it is always 2 people that create the end. Especially when it comes to toxic scenarios, when you've been dealing with someone who's manipulative and narcissistic. Do not fall for the trap of taking all the responsibility on yourself and believing it was all you, because in most cases it wasn't. Though during your self-reflection and healing, there will be things that will come up where you'll be able to see and discern different learnings, different lessons, where there are things that perhaps you could have done better. Maybe you could have stood up for yourself more. Maybe you could have shared your feelings more. Maybe you should have walked away sooner. There's no point going back and regretting, because things tend to happen the way they are supposed to, given our levels of readiness and growth. But remember that it's not all your fault. Probably it wasn't your fault at all. You tried to do your best. So acknowledge that, be there for yourself, forgive yourself for all the mistakes. We're human, we do make mistakes. That's why we're here to learn. And be open to receiving the lessons, ideas, and insights that will come to you as a result of your healing, that will allow you to make better decisions in the future. So what's really good also to do during this time is to journal about these things and really write down your thoughts, so that you're able to then later go back as you're feeling better with more clarity and are able to discern some more insights and ideas, so you don't lose those gems in the process. I highly recommend you write things down as they come to you. Step number 2 is connecting with your essence. it's about really honoring who you are. And men and women will have different ways of doing that. And I found, like, for myself, being a woman, what was really helpful and what still is very helpful for me to do is to regularly connect with my feminine essence, because that's where I can draw most of my strength from, being a woman. And so that would include doing things like movement, dancing, taking hot baths, taking long walks, and really, really going within and really connecting with myself in a soft, open way, in a compassionate way. For men, it may be more about connecting with their male essence, right? Because what tends to happen after these relationships, we can lose ourselves. We can lose a sense of who we are and be way off balance and put our attention out there instead of in here. So that's why these practices are so good. And for men, what I would say might be great. I don't know, I'm not a man, so I'm totally guessing here. But it could be, going for a run and really connecting to their primal energy, or focusing on making progress in a project. Male energy is all about movement and going after something, whereas female energy is about receptivity and just sitting and being with yourself. So these are some of the steps in which you could do that. Step number 3, and here actually between 3 and 5, they're all kind of like dovetail with each other. They're very connected, and you'll see what I mean as I describe. So in step number 3, you want to connect with your deepest feelings. So what I mean by this is you want to practice radical honesty with yourself to really know how you feel. Now, this is where oftentimes surface emotions can come up that are the guardians of the real deep grief and sadness and the really depressed states that stem from, and this is kind of like we're now heading a little bit into number 4, and that is they stem from your needs not being addressed. And so this feeling is anger, typically. And anger is something that definitely needs to be acknowledged and released and connected to, especially for people who have, again, tendencies to be more on the codependency spectrum and be of the givers. We can be angry because we've given so much, we've done everything, and still, we haven't been able to get what we wanted. And so notice how that, again, is connected with our needs. And, many times we get into toxic relationships or relationships that cannot really fulfill and satisfy us because we don't know what our needs are, what our deepest desires are. And here's where we need to, that's number 4, connect with your needs. Here's where we need to get really honest about what we're feeling in a moment, and ask the question, why am I feeling this? What is it that is not being met? What kind of need is not being met right now? And this, of course, is going to tie in with our childhood narrative and, things that have happened to us when we were little, when we were either neglected and therefore we seek more connection, or we were invalidated, so we need more validation, or we need approval. We need all those things, which then will dovetail into number 5, and that is sharing vulnerability and sharing honestly the fact that these are your needs, first with yourself and then with other people. And you can practice that, in very subtle ways by just being out there and connecting to people and being really honest. And when you show up from your authenticity and your honesty, you become actually really attractive and really radiant, even if you're going through deep sorrow, because I guarantee you, whatever you're feeling right now, millions of other people are either feeling right now or have felt at some point in their lives. So by standing in your truth and being radically honest, first with yourself and then with other people about how you feel, you're going to find new ways to connect with them. And that is, I feel, really at the deepest essence of our human nature. We want to connect. We want to be with each other. That's why we want love. And that's why it hurts so much when we lose it, or when we lose something where we thought we had love, but maybe it wasn't real. And so now we need to come to the terms with that, and that can be really difficult. But I really want to recommend that you take this opportunity as an opportunity to really grow yourself and really connect with yourself and really ask yourself, what is it that I really need? So real quick to recap, 5 of the things you can really do for yourself as you're going through a painful breakup, as you're in your recovery stage, usually shortly after, are as follows. Number one, give yourself the space to really feel yourself, honor your feelings, and value yourself and acknowledge yourself for everything that you've done that you know was right. Number two is connect with your essence, whether you're female or male. Really learn to sit in with that, and that is going to plug you in back to your identity, back to your essence, which is so easy to lose while we're, going through a breakup. Because it's almost like we're leaving a big piece of ourselves over there with that other person. So pull your power back and bring it back to here and now. Number three is connect with your feelings and really be honest with yourself. What am I feeling right now? Am I feeling angry? What kind of feeling is it shielding? Perhaps it's because I'm feeling sadness. And why am I feeling sad? Because I feel empty and disconnected, right? So this way you then can find what your needs are. And that is the need for connection, for openness, for sharing, deep, authentic sharing. So as you are getting more and more in touch with your own needs, you become also more authentic. And then that will allow you to practice sharing your vulnerability with others, which is the ultimate cure to loneliness, and will help you really come out of this stronger and much more connected with yourself and with other people on the other side. Okay, I wish you all the best. I know this is really difficult, and know that I'm here if you'd like to connect with me through my coaching, through Skype, through emails. I'm available. I'm here for you, and I'm sending you all my best. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.